And now, Hardcore Wrestling presents In the News with Bay Area MVP.
Good afternoon, hardcore wrestling fans all over the world. And sit all back, relax, because you are hitting HWR in the news for April 2nd. He knows me, Will, aka the MVP of the Bay. And folks, I hope you took time to look at all the videos that I posted on the page. Like I said, I gave you everything. Picture of Byron Saxton. I had a great time with my friends. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But now we're going to go to a little bit of interesting news for the day. So before we start that, let's kick it off to the crew. First, he's the boss of HWR. He's Rick. Rick, how is everything going out there in the East?
Well, you know what? The snow's finally melting. Good weather's finally here, and that's all I can say is thank fucking God.
Let it snow and then go away. And last, you can find him on YouTube.com with all his controversies, scandals, and every good videos. He's the incomparable one, Lance Moss. Lance, Tennessee weather doing good out there?
Well, we had an earthquake yesterday and a bunch of thunderstorms and shit, so sort of, kind of, not really.
Looks like you had a natural mix-up.
Exactly.
All right, folks. We know how wrestling fans like Hall of Fame ceremonies, but this story I'm about to bring up, Rick, I'm going to go to you first, because we talked about this earlier, is a little bit of negativity from this. You know why? Because that Saturday night in San Jose, there were words coming in that Scott Steiner was barred from the event, and that some people seen him in San Jose trying to get in, but I guess to the understanding that security in WWE was not letting him in, and it was just all bad for Steiner. And then later on, we have a small bit of an update, folks, is that over at the newsletter at the Wrestling Observer, that Steiner was banned because of an incident that he was in previously with Hulk Hogan's wife Jennifer on the airport recently. So we don't know nothing about this, but we'll pull it up. And no other details were given, and just basically WWE just wouldn't allow them to go in there. Rick, Steiner not in the Hall of Fame ceremony? What's going on here?
I don't know what to say about this, but Scott, what are you doing? I mean, we always knew that this guy was a loose cannon, but he just never ceases to amaze me is the fucked up shit that he does. But the fact that he's going to be stalking Hulk Hogan at the Hall of Fame, probably to want to fight him, it just goes to show really just how unhooked this guy really is. It's actually kind of funny. But the fact that he was actually going after Hulk's wife, because he really thinks that he's some kind of a hookup. You know, I think the Big Papa Pump gimmick really went to this fucking guy's head. I think the bleach blonde went to his brain.
Oh, wow. well, that's very detailed to the point. Lance?
Well, I'm sort of on the fence on which side I believe, because let's face it, Hogan and Steiner have had their issues in the past. Let's not forget the little tent, the company that's run out of Nashville. They've had a lot of issues down there, so it wouldn't surprise me if Hogan actually had Steiner blackballed.
And you know what's funny about that, Lance? There were also reports saying that was just the case on why Steiner wasn't allowed in the ring. So, do you think that had anything to do with it? Because
absolutely.
Rick, would you agree?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Hulk Hogan had there was something to do with it. Obviously, if, Steiner was going after Hulk's wife, which, if that's part of the news, then obviously that would make sense that Hulk's going to be like, yeah, Steiner's coming around, I don't want this motherfucker around. Of course, the WWE is on Hulk's side rather opposed to Steiner's side, so yes, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, I guess I'll speak briefly on this, and you know what, I'm going to be honest. Does anybody remember the WCW match back in January of 2001, I believe, where Steiner and Hogan were forced to be a tag team, and Steiner would not let Hogan in the ring, and he flipped him off, and he said, "Fuck you." I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know why. When I read this, and then I kept thinking about that match they were forced to be in. Oh, I'm sorry, correction, folks. It was 2000 when Hulk went back to going to the red and yellow, and I guess that maybe this was the start of the root of the problem. We're not so sure. But as far as the blackballing is concerned, this has blackballing all over. I mean, come on, Scott Steiner, you've been using that gimmick for what? A little bit over 10 years, 10, 15 years. You think you're...
And he's not even wrestling anymore.
I forgot the last time he even wrestled, so I don't even know.
Well, then again, how long's Hulk been using his gimmick?
Well, Hulk's the Hulk, though. But
still, using a gimmick for a long time and using a gimmick for a long time, that's still the same thing.
Yeah, but, I mean, okay, I'm looking for the word credibility. Wrestling fans. Yes. When we talk about credibility, we talk about why did Steiner even come in the first place? Why? Just, like the boss said, folks, he's a loose cannon, and just basically he knew that it wasn't going to work. He wasn't going to get in. I mean, I know he has friends like Nash and everybody else that's in WWE right now, but it just wasn't going to happen. And if you think that WWE wasn't going to lie around and not take this, then you guys are crazy off your heads. But Scott Steiner, listen to us here, HWR. Your career's done. Go into the sand somewhere. Now, we're going to go about a little bit of positivity to a little bit of Ronda Rousey, folks. Well, I have your update right here, is that Ronda Rousey doesn't have any type of deal yet with the WWE, but Brad Slater is Ronda Rousey's agent, and he was on the UFC Tonight Show saying that they're trying to get something going, but she has basically no time to work because of her schedule. But anything could happen in the WWE. They've been saying that live for so long, but earlier this morning, FDA reports that if Rousey were to return to WWE to have that angle with Stephanie like they did at Mania, that it would be Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon at the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view October 25th. Well, Lance, after reading all this, what do you think? Rousey versus Stephanie?
Really, I was thinking more after SummerSlam, because she has a fight like 2 weeks before that, so she'd be in top shape. But yeah, Rousey versus McMahon, I approve.
Well, somebody's gonna get their butt handed to them. What you say, Rick, on this?
You know what? Actually, I wouldn't say, because it doesn't make sense for the fight to happen 2 weeks before an actual fight or a UFC fight. Because let's be realistic, even if it's a squash fight, the worst things can happen. The slightest injury can happen. If she gets injured and complicates that other fight,
no, it's
forget it.
After.
Oh, after the fight.
Yeah.
But even worse, okay, let's say she gets injured in that fight and she's not cleared to wrestle. It's not going to happen. Either way, it's, she might not even be medically cleared, because let's say she gets, I don't know UFC, I don't know who she's fighting at all from a hole in the wall. So, but let's say, even if the person that she's fighting, she puts up a good fight, and she gets a jaw broken, or she gets a wrist injured, she's not going to be medically cleared. So you're going to be building up this fight and building up this fight and building up this fight, this huge fight for SummerSlam, and then all of a sudden, oh well, she can't wrestle. What happens then? It would have to be in a time set where she'd have to completely dedicate her time to that one fight. Oh. So I don't see that happening, honestly.
Right, very well said, Rick. And of course, I'll go last. You know what? And nobody thought The Rock was going to make it to Mania. Most of our HWR fans and James for the Biggies and everyone else did not think The Rock was going to show. Nobody thought Ronda Rousey was going to show. And just basically, folks, that if this were to happen, it's like they said here on the report, that it's going to be at the Hell in the Cell in October and not at SummerSlam in August. So, I mean, you have, basically 6 months to prepare this fight while supposedly she has a scheduled fight coming up in the late summer or whatnot. And, yeah, I don't follow UFC that much either, Rick. So I'm totally with you on this one, but if this were to happen, and you say if anything were to happen, a legal or legit injury were to happen, it would just be not pleasant for her. But, anything could happen, All right, folks, and now we're going to take time off from these reports, and we're going to share a little bit of thoughts about the debuts of 3 NXT stars that debuted at the Raw after WrestleMania. And I want to go first on this one. I'm going to say this. The Lucha Dragons, now that they're on Raw now, are going to make that tag team division thrive, especially Kalisto. That guy got aerial ability like nobody's business. The guy got great talent, good footwork. He's very balanced, may I say safe in the way, and the finishing move, the Salido del Sol, that means the end of the sun, for those who don't know Spanish. And what else can you say? And, props to Hunico being Sin Cara and everything, keeping the gimmick. But I am sorry, folks, and you guys can comment on the next thing I'm about to say, and Lance and Rick, we talked about this. I don't know if what they were talking about Neville, because now that reframe is Adrian Neville, it's just Neville now. What the fuck was with that cape? Are they still going to stick with that Mighty Mouse gimmick? I mean, it was like a 3-minute match for him to squash poor Curtis Axel? But that cape, oh my god. I mean, guy got good ability, but that cape, what is WWE thinking? So overall, I like the Lucha Dragons. Neville's going to do well too, but get rid of the cape. Just get rid of it. Rick, what about your thoughts about the Dragons and Neville on Raw?
Well, I have to say, for one, it's glad to see that WWE is finally moving these guys all the way up to the main roster. Yeah, the cape was probably not needed, but either way, Neville, great showing. Lucha Dragons, absolutely. Great to see them move up as well. The tag team roster needed a little bit more of a flair, so either way, great to see them all up.
Lance?
Well, one, for all 3 of these guys, about damn time. And, well, like you said, we need more great tag teams in this tag team division. And, well, in regards to Neville's cape, WWE, when they have been bringing guys up lately, they hadn't been getting them 1,000% right. So at least they didn't throw him in some Mighty Mouse tights or something like they did with the Ascension.
Yeah, but see, Lance, now when you bring up the Ascension, we go back to what Joseph Knight said about a month ago or 3 months ago, or before they debuted, that they look like a rip-off version of Demolition. They look like throw-off versions of Kratos from God to War. And I mean, I'm sorry, they're a good tag team, but the gimmick is, it just sucks. I'm sorry. They could have did something better. What do you say, Rick?
With the Ascension thing, yeah, I mean, I think we've already had this discussion about how I feel with the Ascension and how they kind of look like the LED crack babies. And, I think that the shoulder pads were a little bit of overkill. I think when they came out in the NXT, just the shirt, the shirt, the half shirts that they did would have been fine. That would have worked out perfectly, but somehow WWE likes to be nostalgic, and I think we talked about this the other night, how WWE is trying to recreate nostalgia, and it's just overkill. And I think that's the main problem with the WWE. These guys need to create their own legacy, and rather than try to live through somebody else's eyes.
Okay, very well said. And last, we have a little bit of a release from an NXT star, folks. Yeah, so CJ Parker has asked for his release from his contract because he reportedly was unhappy with his role, and he wanted to try to go to work internationally, and there's other reports that he wants to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. last time we see him in the ring, he was the one responsible for giving Kevin Owens that cut on his nose, but he got his ass whooped, so we already seen that. And, he felt that, he's been at NXT for so long and he wasn't very happy and there was no direction for him. So WWE, of course, grants him that and he's looking to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, Rick, if there was anything I could say about CJ Parker right now, he tried to revolutionize, but so short for his release. So, will he find success in New Japan Pro Wrestling despite his release?
Honestly, I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to miss him. That's all I can really say. I wish him the best. But the fact is I can't remember any good matches that he had in NXT. He was honestly the jobber of NXT, so it's just a shame, So his gimmick really didn't sell on me. He didn't really stand out, and it's a shame.
Okay, very well said, Lance.
Well, I understand him being extremely frustrated because them not using him the way he wanted to, and feeling that 4 years he should have been up in the main roster. Maybe a little bit of a gimmick change or something that might have helped. So I can completely understand him saying, you know what, after 4 friggin' years of getting treated like dirt, I'm out. And if he wants to go make a name for himself over in New Japan, if he can, more power to him.
All right, and I'll go last. And you know what? I agree with both of you here. More with Rick when he said, he went from the Moonchild to try to be like this revolutionist for like safety and use less power, be one with the trees type of thing. I mean, I don't know who writes this stuff, but I thought it was funny. But yeah, he was the jobber. NXT. The guy got talent, but wasn't going nowhere. And to think, he's been down there for a little over 3, going on 4 years, and I guess, he just wanted to leave. He was very unhappy, and but I'm glad that he wants to follow international revenues and try to get in New Japan. But we don't know what the time may hold for him. And, best power to you. But the thing was, Lance, you also brought up a good point is, if something wrong with the talent, do something about it. Just don't let them sit there like you're doing poor Zack Ryder. Oh, no, wait, you had Zack Ryder beat Adam Rose twice already on main event. That's good. At least there's a little bit of progress. But sometimes WWE is a little bit late on how they deal with things in these situations with their talent. And CJ Parker wasn't really anybody. So I'm about to agree with Rick. And before we end the show, Rick, I think you got a little bit of info about Sheamus you want to add to the show.
Yeah, actually, there is a report about Sheamus. He's being accused of being a little too rough in the matches, apparently, or excuse me, the word is reckless, and not protecting Daniel Bryan enough. This is actually a bit of a spoiler, folks, for tonight's SmackDown. Apparently, he's going to be in a non-title match against the Intercontinental Champion, and apparently he had given the man, Daniel Bryan, 7 stitches on a close cut to his forehead. Now, it's not quite clear if it was either him or Wade Barrett who gave him the stitches, but word is that that's one of Sheamus' problems, is that he's always been too reckless, hence the reason why he's always had his recent injuries, and now why he's even hurt others along the way. So you got to wonder if maybe that's why he's had his lack of success. And I believe you even, before the show you talked on, you said there was somebody else who has this very same problem.
Oh, did I say about that? Oh,
I believe you said it was Ryback.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I went brain dead looking at the Sheamus video. Yeah, supposedly, a friend of mine that went to WrestleMania, but he wasn't with me, said that Ryback, again, whenever we hear Ryback, we hear Feed Me More, but that was the case. Apparently, I got a good look from 3 different angles on how he eliminated Titus O'Neil. And it didn't look normal. It looked like when he clotheslined him or when he threw him, from my understanding, it didn't look too good. and he should have been more careful on how he threw Titus. And my friend kind of went ballistic about it, in which, respect was saying, because, and then two, we talk about why wrestlers should be, safe when they wrestle with others, because injuries like this could happen on the field. So I would say, if Ryback was in the moment, fine, but that was BS. Now you talk about Sheamus and these stitches, like, okay, he came back as a heel, but calm the fuck down. Would you agree, Lance?
Absolutely. I kind of think it was Daniel Bryan might have came in contact with the top point of his hair, and that might have cut him for all the product he has using that shit. But regarding Ryback, seems to be about Thanksgiving time last year, somebody came out with a podcast saying he was a reckless son of a bitch. I can't remember who exactly it was. It used to be called the best in the world or something. Just saying.
I'm dumb as fuck. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, thank you, Rick, for the update with Sheamus. I hope that Daniel Bryan will get everything situated with his injury. And, folks, that's just going to wrap it up. So, you know what? Tell us, what do you think about Scott Steiner being barred? Did he have any business trying to get to the Hall of Fame? Was WWE right for, barring him from there? Was lowballed even, a faction? Let us know your thoughts about Ronda Rousey in a WWE ring. Would that be interesting? And give us your take about the Lucha Dragons and Neville's debut, CJ Parker, a.k.a. the Moonchild Jobber, and what Rick brought us report about Sheamus and Ryback. Just comment. We like to hear from you guys. And that's going to wrap it up here. Rick, take us home. Where can they find us at for all this goodies and stuff?
Of course, you can always find it on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And anytime you want to hear more podcasts like this, check us out on youtube.com/HWR Show.
Let's plug the fans into YouTube and what goes on.
It's youtube.com/LanceMossTV. I got album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck filmmaking videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants, the archives of controversies and scandals. So hit me up and subscribe. And don't forget to hit me up on Twitter. It's @LanceMossTV.
All right. And for myself, you guys can always find me at HWR, the Hardcore Wrestling Radio Facebook page with, faces, heels, and demons of the week, since James has been reprimanded from his role for working too much. And you can also catch our In the News archives at soundcloud.com/HWR Show. And we would like to shout out to James from the Big Easy. You can find him at twitch.tv/fatboy504. If you like Andy, the son of a bitch of HWR, you can find him at stonecontent.com. And to Joseph Knight, you can always find him at JKnightManager on Twitter and ClassicWrestlingAssociation.com. Check us all out, all that good stuff. So we're going to wrap it up here. So for Rick Lance, this is Will Say. We'll see you next time on Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Thank you for listening to this edition of In the News. Be sure to check us out over at facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And also be sure to follow us over at dailymotion.com/HWR Show. And now, check us out at our new location, soundcloud.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Until the next time, this is your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.